Well, hello again, everyone. I'm back. My name is Joel. I didn't introduce myself a while ago. I'm the lead pastor here. I'm joined by our associate pastor, Tony. It's not Christmas Eve.
No.
Normally, that's when we're together on a stage. But today's special because it's the State of the Church address. Now, this is something I'm required to do by our bylaws. I know that sounds kind of boring, but we don't do boring around here. So we said, okay, how do we dress it up this year? How do we do this differently? And in years past, we had been doing this on Sunday night. But then we know school's the next day, work the next day. For some of you, Sunday night's the only time you have with family. And we said, okay, how do we do this better without taking away from your family time? So we said, we're going to do it all on Sunday morning. But I'm also aware that with the constraint of Sunday morning and children's ministry and kids only being able to have so much time in there before they get hangry, we know that this morning is going to be a little bit of like drinking water from a fire hydrant. Okay, it's why in your message notes today, we put like a full outline of like everything we're going to be talking about. And we did that because you're going to walk away from this, you're probably going to go, oh my goodness, my head is spinning. He said so much in just a little bit of time. And then you're going to talk about the interviews. And then when you get in your small group this week, you're going to talk even more about it. And we know. We did that so you could have a little trigger point to go, oh, okay, that's what that was about. And we did that so you'd be able to have some recall on what we're saying. Because trust me, I know I've gone through this 4 or 5 times, and it makes my head spin a little bit. But I'm so excited to be giving you not only the State of the Church address, but be able to tell you a little bit of what we feel the Lord's calling us to do in 2025. And we're going to talk a bit about that as we go. But Matthew 28, 18 through 20 tells us what the mission of the church is. Jesus came to them, that would be the apostles, those gathered around, and he said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. And we say it a lot, we print it a lot, that we exist to be obedient to God the Father by making more disciples for Jesus. That's where it comes from. We want to live by faith and offer hope and be known by love. That's another spot in the Bible. We want to purpose ourselves to present an unchanging Christ to a changing world. You know, we have to do ministry here. We're not doing ministry in Tokyo, Japan. They have to do a certain thing there. We have to do a certain thing here. But our mission is still the same, that we're to bring the gospel to all nations, even when the nations are here with us. And part of that means we have to get very creative. We like to say around here that we hold on to Jesus tightly, but our methods loosely. Because sometimes you got to roll with it and you got to change things up and you got to do things a little differently in order to reach people. And that's something that I can really brag on our staff team. Tony can attest to this. Our team is so flexible in responding when someone comes up and says, something's on my heart and I want to try this. One thing that has happened this year was a ministry to the families of those who have children with special needs. It's really not something we've had before. But the Lord worked this one out, and we're so excited to talk a little bit today. Would you welcome Trina Lamons to the stage with a few of her helpers, I think? Just pretend it's us. It's okay. Although that may be scary too.
So Trina is joined by Stephanie and sweet little Georgia. And so, who's a little shy right now, but that's okay, Georgia. It's all right. Trina, so this is something that has been on your heart for a while. So give us a little bit of information on how this became put on your heart and how you wanted to get involved and how you kind of helped spearhead and start this.
Well, it started, I'd say, 35 years ago. I was blessed with a beautiful daughter who is developmentally and mentally disabled. And growing up and raising her in the church, they were not equipped for her, and no fault of theirs. It was a small church, but it just wasn't equipped for her. And it was very easy, unfortunately, to start staying at home more and more. And then 4 years ago, we were again blessed with Ezekiel, who is autistic. And that is really when it was leaned into my heart to realize the older he got, the harder it was going to be for him to continue in jam without buddies. And that's kind of, and then with Treasure talking to me about it, and it's kind of where it started growing, is just knowing the bubble that you feel like you live in when you have a child or grandchild, or you're a caregiver with a special needs child. You do feel like you're in a bubble. That there are a lot of services out there, but you just don't feel like there's someone there that truly knows your kid and can handle your child. Not that, they're disruptive or anything like that, but it's just, it's a different need.
Right, it's a different need. And so with that, what does the ministry to children with special needs look like in a Jam Sunday?
So basically, you get checked in. They are paired with either an adult buddy, like Stephanie or Sarah or Anita. I saw her in the pews. They're either paired with an adult or a junior high buddy, which we think is so awesome to have the junior high kids helping out. They are always kept with their peers. We do not want to seclude them. That is not what this is about. This is keeping them inclusive with the group. If they start to feel anxiety, or if it is a little bit too much, we do pull them back a little bit. We have headphones for them if the music is a little bit too loud, or we have special carts that they can still do all the same activities that everybody else is doing.
That's so good.
They can ask a friend to come and be with them that day, and they can hang out with somebody. And then that way they always feel like they're included. They feel like they're loved and cherished, and we are so glad that they are there.
Well, I know on behalf of the staff and the rest of us, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, Stephanie and you and the rest of your team. And so we want to thank you guys for taking this time out and explaining this special ministry to us. And thank you for serving.
Yeah, the Bible speaks of caring for widows and orphans. Now, there's a philosophical angle there, too. Widows and orphans represent those who would maybe typically be disenfranchised in society. But there's also a literal aspect of that, widows and orphans, a literal widow and a literal orphan. And one conversation I ended up stumbling into through a ministerial meeting, and I ended up having this conversation, ended up talking to this organization called Foster the City. You can see their name up there. And what they do is they're a Christian-based organization out of San Francisco, and their mission, their goal was to get teams of churches in cities who would gather around and support foster families. And if you've ever been around foster families, you know that not only is it a special family that does that, you can't just drop off a child that's in foster care. You can't just drop them off with a friend. That friend has to go through certain procedures and processes because that's the state system. And that's part of just the safety and welfare of the child. So it makes it very difficult on those families, too. Talk about, Trina mentioned a bubble. Sometimes foster families can get in that bubble, too, and they have no real resource except maybe people outside the church. And this organization came along and said, no, the church can do better. Well, then, in my conversation, they announced that they're going to be having, or they're doing, a pilot program for individual churches that want to come around foster families in their own congregation. We are that pilot. We are the ones who said, yeah, we're going to try that. Because we have foster families in our church. We have those who are considering it. And one of the questions that those families considering it, they often ask is, where do I go for help? And now we can tell you, your church will be one of those places you can go for help. And I love their slogan, giving a church to every foster child. What a blessing to do that. We've walked with families along the way, kind of unofficially. Now it's an official way to do this, and they do all the heavy lifting. They do all the background checks that satisfy state requirements. They handle all that for us. We just get the joy of actually being the hands and feet. So stay tuned for that. That's a 2025 thing. But if that rings your bell, your connection card is a great spot to put that down, and you can just put Foster the City, or you can put Foster, and we'll know what you mean, because that is one way you can get involved with doing that. Every year I say this, and I will say it every year until, the Lord calls me home, I guess. We do, as a church, we don't pursue numbers. We pursue health. And there's a huge difference. I mean, cancer grows, but it's not healthy, right? We want a healthy growth, which means we pursue health more than the numbers. The numbers come, that which is healthy is going to grow. And I'll often say that church health is possible when the flames of hell are hotter than the power of our preferences. You know, and suddenly we go, wow, heaven and hell's on the line. What's my opinion compared to that? And the answer is not much. But hell's got to be hot. That's a theological thing. That's a church thing. We have to understand that there's a real heaven and a real hell. And that's when we suddenly start pursuing that health. But I always want to tell you, too, every year I do this, and I always do it on Sunday night, so some of you don't hear this. And we've got what, a few dozen at family, like 3 dozen at family camp. So you're going to hear all this today before they do. So brag to all your friends at family camp, you heard it here first. But they've heard this part probably, and that there's really 5 marks of a healthy church. First, a healthy church has a high view of Scripture. You toss the Bible out, you're not a church anymore. I don't know what you are, but I can tell you what you're not. A healthy church has a high view of Scripture. Secondly, a healthy church is committed to discipleship. Jesus said that. Make disciples. It's growing people in the faith, and we are growing ourselves. Number 3, a healthy church fully embraces evangelism. That's that hell-heaven thing. If that's not the driving force behind what we do, it's something else. Number 4, a healthy church believes in personal accountability. I can't hold you responsible for spiritual growth if I'm not trying to engage in spiritual growth myself. I can't demand out of you what I am unwilling to do. Pastor Tony can't demand out of you what he is unwilling to do. That's personal accountability. And last, number 5, a healthy church has a leadership community seeking to be relevant and leading the church to be the same. Now, that is a fancy way of basically saying we have to do ministry here where we do ministry. And there are certain things we're going to have to do that maybe we wouldn't have to do if we were in other parts of the country or another part of the world. That's knowing where we are and engaging with that community, seeing that there were children with special needs and responding. Seeing there were foster families and responding. That's what that means, to see where are these needs and to say, where can we meet those needs? I want to tell you how the Lord has been using you so far this year to some practical stats. Some of you love the stats. We even gave a spot in your notes where you can write these in if you want to do that. Because I know it's drinking from a fire hydrant. Y'all, I've gone through this a bunch of times, and every time my head spins when I'm done. Okay, I get it. And I'm talking kind of fast because a lot I got to get through. Here are the stats. First, we've had 167 registered newcomers as of last Sunday. Now, what does that mean? That means we got a connection card on them, or they checked a child into one of our kids' ministries, either nursery or in the JAM building. That's what that means by registered. Registered means they did a formal process and we got their information. 167. Y'all, that's a lot of folks. That's incredible. So far this year, we have had 12 people make first-time commitments for Jesus. Registered. That means they put it on a card and they told us. Now, our goal is 60, so we're not there yet. But the year's not done, and I'm convinced the Lord's not finished yet. So we got 12 so far, and that's exciting. 6 registered recommitments. Now, usually what those are, that's someone who usually maybe they were involved in the church or their faith was strong, but then something happened. Maybe they drifted away. Maybe a different bubble took them away, and then they come back. When they come back, that's how we register recommitment. When they register and tell us that. That's some of your stories. Now, not everybody does that. We don't emphasize that as much as maybe we should, but that's what that is. And then last but not least, next to last, we've had 30 baptisms so far this year. You have been busy.
You did actually half of those.
Did I? Before I had my surgery?
Yeah, because for some reason my schedule got put on. I was preaching that.
That's right. I did. I remember that. Oh, I remember that was
half
that
of
was
those
awesome.
are yours.
Yeah. Well, I'll claim it. That was fun. That was so much fun. I love doing that. 30, and our next time is coming up. The class is on November 10th. Baptism is a big deal. Jesus actually put that in the Great Commission. It mattered. It mattered to him that he put it in the final marching orders for the church. We'd be wise to follow his example. And we have some of you know, we have talked about baptism nonstop this year. And you can see it reflected. That is incredible. That is so incredible. So your next chance coming up for that's November 10th. Baptisms are on November 17th. But the class is important. That's where we give people a chance to really find out what baptism is. What is it not? What is it for? Who is it for? All of that's in that class. And that's an in-person class. Mm-hmm. That is something Pastor Tony usually teaches. Happens at the admin building. Incredible. So you've got questions about baptism, put that on your card, and we'll make sure you can get to the class, and you can ask those questions. Most likely, we're going to tell you the answer before you ask it, but that's cool. Come with your questions. That's a great place for it. We've also had, as our elder chair mentioned earlier, we've had 10 new partnering members this year. That's people who've completed the process and joined the church. They've gone through that. They scanned, probably some of them scanned the QR code. I don't have the right document in front of me, sorry. They scanned their QR code there inside their bulletin about becoming a member right there on Get Connected. That's a video you can do. You can do it in your house at 3 in the morning. That is not in person. You do that on your own. Then we have like an interview with you. If you're involved in a ministry, usually the staff member who's in charge of that ministry will vouch for you, or maybe they'll talk to you about your testimony. Then our elders approves that. We have 10 people who've gone through that so far this year. And that is always open. You can go through that at any point. Right now, if I really start boring you and you're just waiting for the next interview, scan the QR code. It's fine. You can just go back and watch me online later. But one of the key things we as a church, we really try to stress as a leadership community, that's our elders and staff together, is that we make sure that we don't plan in ink, but we plan in pencil. And if you plan in ink, you're not flexible. If 2020 taught churches in America anything, it was you need to plan in pencil because you don't know what's going to happen. But fortunately, the Lord already gave us that flexibility, and so even in 2020, that wasn't all that crazy for us. We just came in and said, okay, what are we doing this week? And we just rolled with it, but that's because we plan in pencil. Something our elders, they set that standard. Yeah, elders have 1, 5, 10-year goals. They've got all that, and that's necessary, but it's always in pencil because every now and again, the Lord comes along and he goes, I've got something for you. You're going to have to erase something and put something else there. We had one of those moments happen where we thought one thing was going to happen this year, or wasn't in this case going to happen. And then the Lord came along and he erased that and he put something else there, and it's been such a wild ride. So will you welcome Isabella Alexander, Hannah Nelson, and Eric Pouncey, please?
Yes.
Well,
All right.
welcome out. It's
Yeah.
been a while backstage, so thanks for being patient with us.
Yeah, thanks for coming out here, you guys. So this is very exciting. I mean, if there's one thing about this morning that I'm the most excited about, it's these three young people right here, because when Joel says we plan in pencil and not ink, we had some stuff, maybe even inked, we don't know. But then this group of young people came to us and said, we want to start something here in this church for young adults. And I'm like, yes, let's go. What do you need? And they were like, food and a place to meet. Done. Got it. Let's go. And so Isabella, Eric, Hannah, describe now. You guys are meeting on Wednesdays and Sundays now, right? Okay. Describe those meetings to us. Tell us what happens on normal young adult night.
So Wednesday night we have 2 different Bible studies, a young men's Bible study and then a young women's Bible study. The guys' Bible study is about 5 to 10 people every week, and then we're going through the book of John right now. And then the women's has about 10 to 15 every week. And then after, Tony has also been courteous and opened up the gym for us. And so usually we play basketball after our Bible study, and sometimes we'll get food and hang out every week.
And then on Sundays, we come to church in the evening times, and we have something called Savoring Scripture, which basically means we come and have a meal together, and then we have kind of a sermon study, meaning we have young adults coming from all different churches in Merced and outside of Merced that come together and talk about what they learned at church that morning, or if they didn't go to church, they get to hear from different churches, and basically they went to church. And it's a really good discussion, and we all just fellowship and eat some good food and, just talk about what we learned, and we really do learn more when we come together and talk. So it's really fun.
I love their Sunday one. The Sunday one, they've also got to invite me over, and I've done communion for them. This is what these young adults are doing today. This is what the next generation is doing. They are studying God's word. It may be from different churches, but they're also taking communion. They are mirroring what we do here in Big Church, and I'm so excited about it. So now, here's the big question. Tell all these wonderful people out here, and we got a lot of great servants out here in this audience. How can these people help or get involved with this ministry?
Yeah, so we really appreciate the support from our bake sale. If you guys were able to purchase something, that went towards our retreat that we went to with Gateway and Yosemite Church. So that was really amazing, and we met our fundraising goals. And then some of you have already provided us with meals or money to purchase a meal for our Sunday's sermon study. And so another great way to support us is just by providing food or maybe a gift card to purchase the food, because food brings people together, especially young adults. Other ways, we're going to start doing more like testimonies and people speaking on Sunday nights. So if that's on your heart and you feel led to come and speak, come and talk to one of us after service, and we'd love to, get you connected.
Yeah, and if you want to bring them a meal or give to their meals, you can do that at the info center, or you could call the office and bless them. This is, I can't say it enough. I'm just so proud of these young folks and what they do on Sundays. Thank you guys for coming and doing this with us. Let's hear it for these guys. Yeah.
Planning in pencil, it's a real thing. You just never know what the Lord's going to do. And it's like, man, when he does it, it's like a moment of panic. And then you're like, this is awesome. But you do have a moment. I'm a control freak. And you do have that moment of like, oh, is this going to be okay? And the Lord always takes care of us. We do want to plan for the future. And when we talk about next generation, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the future. We're talking about what's going to come along after us. We're talking about all that. And, these aren't kids. These are young adults. These are people who the Lord brings them here through our maybe Merced College or the UC, and they come here, and they're here for a few years, and some of them are local and they stay, but most of them they come, they get their education, they leave, or they're going to get a master's degree or a doctorate. Some of you even here right now, you're postdoc, and you come back to do further research at the UC, and we have such a wonderful ministry laboratory right here to be able to invest in people that the Lord then scatters around the country, in some cases around the world. And that's what we get to be a part of, all because we're willing to say, we've got to think about the future and think about how we can invest in that next gen. Part of that is what we voted on earlier with our 2025 financial ministry plan. It's not just the numbers, it's the vision on paper. It's why we do it. A pastor said, and you were here at this meeting, and when a pastor said this, he said, nobody wants to give to the toilet paper fund, but you try doing ministry without it. And I love that. It's like it's not the glamorous part. The vision part's exciting. The hoping that the Lord fills a need and you stick it out there, and that's awesome. That's cool. But there's also the practical stuff too. You got to clean the building. You got to change the light bulbs. You got to change ceiling tiles. You got to take care of the toilet paper. You got to have that stuff. This is where we do ministry. Maybe there's some parts in the world they don't have to, but where I got to here. That's what we have to do. So that's part of why we do that. And it's even why years ago, before me even, about, 8, 9 years ago now, I mentioned it in the video, Dr. John Strubar, when he was our transitional lead pastor, started a campaign called the Program of Progress. You may have heard it abbreviated as POP, because that's what it stands for, it's Program of Progress. This was a special fund that was being raised by folks at the time to handle a lot of delayed maintenance, do some upgrades we've been putting off, and it did so many things. Now, all this is past tense. I'm just going to catch you up to the present. But it paid for roofs. It paid for some remodeling. It paid for repairs. It helped pay for part of the youth building. Now, a great flood took care of that, and the insurance did most of that. But it did part of the kids' building. It was the down payment and some of the fees associated with our solar loan, which most of our loan is actually for new roofs. And then POP also paid for the admin building's new roof. And then there are 6 buildings on campus. Tony can tell you all about them. There are 6 buildings on campus. But if you're counting, that means there's one left. And you're sitting under it. So we're going to kind of, as they say, get the band back together, as it were, with the Program of Progress. Some of you have continued to give to the Program of Progress. Thank you to anyone who has given and continues to give to that, because now it's our turn to pick that up again. We need to replace this roof. You don't see it from the outside. It's real pretty, but it's got a lot of leaks. The acoustic tiles, if you look closely, I hate pointing this out, but it's kind of a family meeting, y'all, so here we go. Those water stains, here's a story that happened with that. Our team got up there and changed those out after we thought we had it patched. And then it rained on a Saturday, and I came in Sunday morning, and I said, I thought you were going to change those out. And their faces melted, and they're like, we just did. Because the roof's leaking. Now, we do have a company, they're going to patch it up, and it's going to hold us over for at least another winter, maybe more, but we're hoping at least another winter, because we need to raise at least about $150,000 just for the roof. Now, if you've ever done the roof on a house, you know that's really inexpensive because of some kind of foam technology. He can tell you all about it later. I don't understand it. But it's on the flat portions, not on the angled portions. That's not what's leaking. We have some guys that repaired the angled portions. And so that's part of what we're going to do. Now, I have to also tell you this part. As you're giving to the Program of Progress, it's really important that we don't take our regular giving for general fund, the toilet paper fund, It's very important we don't take that and give it to Pop. Here's why. If we take that and give it to Pop, what pays for the toilet paper? What pays for the light bulbs? What pays for the ministry that goes on? That's got to keep moving. This is something in addition. And again, I'm not guilting you. That's just information. You pray about that. Decide what part of that is your lift to help us get the roof repaired here. And then all 6 would be leak-proof. It was so nice last winter to not have 5 leaky buildings. That was incredible. So thank you for all that have done on that as well. There's also a few other things we're going to roll into that next one. Our speakers and our amplifiers in this room are slowly dying. A good chunk of our worship ministry budget is actually trying to keep this stuff working. And again, that's no criticism of the equipment. It's over 20 years old. We got our money's worth. Most of us don't have 20-year-old technology at our house, and yet we do, and that's how good it was when it was purchased. So we always want to make sure we get comparable stuff so it lasts, quality lasts. So again, I know, fire hydrant, I know, I'm moving through it. Go back online and watch it later. We also have this goal to have 60% of our congregation serving somewhere. And that's really important for us because our attitude is if you want to be like Jesus, get serving. Get involved. Do something. Learn to give yourself away. And we always want to remind you that when we say this line, teamwork makes the dream work, it's not just a cliche. It's really what we mean. Our staff team is just a few of us. We could not even do a Sunday morning without all of you. It takes like 50-something people just to do a Sunday morning service the way we know of it, with kids ministry and guest services, safety, worship team, people back there in the booth up at the top. It takes a ton of people just to do Sundays. So we're so thankful for all of you. And we really want people to serve because God moves us that way. And there was a story that we heard about someone serving, and it so touched me and Pastor Tony that we really wanted you to hear it from her why she served. So will you welcome Carol Crum today?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. See, serving.
Carol's.
Of course it's Carol doing this, right? But thank you. Microphone's right there to your right. Can you reach that?
Grab that microphone, Carol.
I feel like I'm not being a gentleman because I'm not handing it to you, but I'd fall between here and there.
We got you.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, Carol, we implemented this new thing kind of now where everybody fills out an application when they want to serve. It's kind of, we do it all across the board, all of our ministries. It was kind of to fine-tune everything and to get everybody on the same page. And Carol turned in an application because she wanted to serve in children's. And what she wrote, I'm telling you, it basically moved the whole staff to tears. Oh yeah, it did. No, I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but do you remember what you said on that application on why you wanted to serve? And tell us where.
I like to serve in the babies with the nurseries.
Yes.
It's because it's just a way for me to get to know some of the young families because at my age, I've lost contact. So this way, I can get to know a little bit about the families.
A way to, you see that? You see how serving has now linked 2 generations together. Carol, a mom, a grandma, can now give her experience in our nursery and help love on you younger families' kids as they start to grow up into church. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you.
I want to be like you when I grow up.
Thank you.
When I read that's exactly what I said to Tony. I said, I want to be like Carol when I grow up. Just to have that heart to give yourself away. And we mean that. I mean, thank you. What an example. I think you're also a great-grandmother, aren't you?
Yes.
Are you? Oh, yeah. 8?
Wow.
Who better than the love on babies?
I know, right? You're obviously very
Actually, it
experienced.
was kind of fun to have 2 of them in the nursery.
And they're with
when
you.
I
No.
was there. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So this next question, we probably already know the answer, but I'll let you explain it. What's your favorite part about serving?
What's my favorite part about serving? It just keeps me being a part of everyone. That's why.
You like the connection,
And
don't you?
I like the connection with the people. God wants me to do something, and I don't want to give up.
Oh,
Wow.
can you hear? Carol, you are a blessing to this church, and you are greatly appreciated, and we thank you so much
Thank you.
for doing this and loving on our children.
This family is a blessing to me.
Oh, well, thank you very much, ma'am. Everybody, let's hear it for Carol. I Yes, ma'am.
I could destroy everything easily.
You're fine.
And I'm supposed to follow that. Look, really, one thing that I don't say enough is this one. I want us as a church to be the go-to organization for our city, for our faith-based partners. Back in 2020, the year I've mentioned a few times, I got a text message from the city back then, and they're saying, we know we don't have to ask your church. We know you guys are going to help us out. Because they already knew we were going to tell them yes. Of course we do. That's what we do. We serve our city. We're not just in Merced. We are for Merced. We don't crown the winners. We're not involved in the politics of it, but we will definitely work with anyone who will let us work with them. We want to so badly. One desire of us to be in the city is why we actually moved some Christmas events around. And we're going to be involved in this year's Merced Christmas Parade on December 7th. You're going to hear more about that later, okay? But that's the Christmas parade. But we moved some stuff around because we wanted to be present in our city and to be involved in one of the last Christmas parades like in the state. I mean, here's a chance for us to do this. Also, I had this conversation back on September... I should have been changing pages by now. Hang on a sec. September 19th, I had a meeting with the principal at Rivera Elementary and Middle School, who turns out is a brother in Christ, Rick Herr, he's the principal over there, just a wonderfully delightful man. It was such a great conversation. And I went in on your behalf and I just said, Rick, how can we serve you? How can we serve your school? How can we do this? They're right there in our shadow. Here in the staff, we hear their bell schedule all the time. We hear announcements, and we can hear them. We pray for them. They're right there. How can we help you? And he really surprised me a bit. He said, we need tutoring for students. He said, you would not believe how much the pandemic put these students behind in reading and comprehension, especially if they're a student that English is a second language. He said it just put them a decade behind, and they haven't even been in school for a decade. Tutoring students. He said the second thing they need is lunch for teachers while they're doing their in-service. You know how the teachers have to go and they have that day, and while the students aren't there and the students get a free day. He said to serve them lunch would be such a blessing. He said, and it's a way to, remind the teachers you're here. And then he said the third one, that when he told me, I actually asked him a follow-up because I said, surely I didn't hear you right. And I came back, I told Tony about it, and I said, I said the same thing. I didn't think I heard him right. I expected his third one to be, and hey, if you could send some folks over and sit and have lunches with the kids, that would just mean so much because they would just love to see their pastors. That's what I was expecting. He didn't say it. He didn't. What he said was, if you could provide people who pray, who can just sit in like the teacher's lounge once a week and be available for teachers to pray with them. I'm sorry, what? You mean sit with the kids? No. He said, that doesn't do any good. He said, the kids won't talk to you. He said, those teachers? You parents at junior hires are like, yeah, that's not right. But he said, those teachers, he said, we have sisters and brothers in the school. They need support. He said, then we have those who have questions about faith. He said, and this is their workplace, so it's very limited in what they can do. He said, but if someone comes along like in a chaplaincy role, a pastor, another minister, a deacon, a deaconess, anybody who cares and has a heart and wants to pray, just sit there for an hour. He said, that is what we need more than anything else. I came back and I'm like, Tony, we can do this one, bro. We got this one. Man, we can pray. We pray as a regular thing in our services. We can do this. Wow, blew my socks off. That is something we're in the process of forming. I'm hoping we can get that going before 2025. If not, it'll probably be something you hear about in December for happening right at the beginning of January. Now, I'm rounding third, so hang with me here. Okay, we're gonna pick up speed. We got this one. The best is yet to come. By now, you've gotten your year-end giving letter. We do this every year about this time to give you an update on where we are on the giving goal. Now, the giving goal is different from what it takes to pay for the toilet paper, right? That's the expense budget. The giving goal is up here, and it's always higher. It's higher so that we make sure we're fully funded into the next year. What ends up, this weird thing happens like in summer, that it's like people go on vacation, they take their giving with them, but that's the most expensive time of the year for us. That's when we're buying everything for fall. That's when we're paying any kind of true up, settle up you get for solar, we got to pay the difference. We pay that in summer. So all this hits us kind of right in the time that giving is lower. All this giving goal funds all that. It secures all that. It gives us some padding, some cushion going into that. And like I shared in the letter, we are within 3% of hitting the giving goals. We're projected to be. We haven't done it yet. We're projected to be there. That is really close. For a church our size, we're only projected to be about 22,000 short of the giving goal. That's the number up here. That is amazing. That is so exciting to be that close to it. So again, if you didn't read the letter, get it out of the trash. Read it. It's got some neat stories in there. And you can also start doing that immediately. Some of you already have. Thank you for that. Christmas gift to my church is what we're calling that. You can do that on your online giving as a drop down you can select. You can do it on a giving envelope in front of you. Just mark it there. Memo in the check always helps if it's a check. But it's just a way we can just make sure we hit that thing and that we're ready for what the Lord has us in 2025. Both that we have planned for and both those things we haven't planned for that the Lord just sends us. By the way, it was the giving goal last year that made sure when all these air conditioners in this room started breaking in summer, that was the cash we had to be able to do that without batting an eyelash. That was your giving. That was your faithfulness last year. So that's how it works in real life. That is a look behind the curtain for how the finances really work. It builds that reserve. It's not a sin to have a savings account, as we often say around here. Also, I want to give you some quick things about some visual things you're going to start seeing that are going to change. And this is the whole, but wait, there's more. In the back of the worship center to my right, there's a room that looks empty, but we see what it's going to be. That's going to become our prayer room. And we're probably going to open it up into this space too, to where during the service, if you want to pray with someone, you could go back there and pray. Maybe you're uncomfortable coming to the front, but you can go back there, and we'll have people back there. It's going to be a prayer room. We'll have people there during the service. That is something we're hoping to get knocked out maybe before 25. It might be end of January, February. All depends on, we depend a lot on skilled volunteer labor, and that means we have to work around their schedules. And so we're very patient with that. That's why it takes a while. But the upside is we get all these professional results for the cost of some tacos and the materials. I'm happy to feed these guys and gals when they do this stuff. So that's one thing going on. Also, we're finally going to get around to remodeling the gym entrance. But why we're going to remodel the gym entrance is the exciting part. See, our kids ministry keeps growing and growing because the Lord is sending us so many young families that have so many wonderful kids, some with special needs, some without. And because of that, they're going to have to pretty soon move into the gym for part of what they do to have the space, which now means we're going to have a lot of foot traffic in that gym entrance. So we wanted to brighten it up, spruce it up, give it some love, and that's why we're doing the gym entrance and getting it back up to kind of what this building looks like a little more at the entrance. We'll handle the gym itself down the road. That's a lot more cost, but the entrance. Part of that is also the remodel for the kitchen. Now, most of you don't go into the kitchen out there. It's a commercial kitchen, it's a little intimidating. But you all get the benefit from it every time you eat around here, okay? But it has been in need of a remodel for a while. The money's been given, but kind of the reasoning that it's been a delay on that is for the same reason the prayer room has a delay. We work around skilled labor and what they're able to do and work around their schedule, and the demo work is not something we can just go in and sledgehammer. Oh, yeah, and by the way, we keep eating around here, so we can't just go in there and just say, well, kitchen's now shut down for a month, if you're right in the middle of feeding everybody. Like next week when we're feeding like 300-something people, and all of a sudden, we can't shut down a kitchen to do all that. So that's part of that process coming. You probably have heard along the way, we put it in print a few times, but Sunshine, our preschool, did close at the end of last school year. I'll give you the real bird's eye view of why. Without getting too political, we compete with the state of California for students. That wasn't always true. We were a paid preschool, as most licensed preschools are in our area, but the state is slowly ramping down public preschool. And so now all these paid preschoolers are competing with free from the state. And the state continues to reduce it down. They want to get eventually down, I think, to a 3-year-old program that they'll offer for preschool. That's really hard to compete at the prices you have to be at. And on top of that, the teachers required for any licensed preschool are very highly skilled, and they're very specialized, which means they can go get a job in the public school system and make a lot better money and have benefits. And these are professionals. These are people that need real jobs full time. They can't just be part-time the rest of their life. So when you put all that together, we said, you know what? Writing's on the wall. What did we all love most about Sunshine? We loved that it was a bridge to the community. It was a way to connect with people that we couldn't always connect with on a Sunday morning. It gave us a way to talk to those folks. So we said, okay, that was the mission then. It's still the mission now, be a bridge. So we're going to get that building. Because of when Sunshine closed, the church was also blessed with everything else they had in their checking account when all their expenses were paid. And it was just over $40,000. So because of that, we have the cash, as they say in economics, cash is more important than your mother. That's a joke. But every business person is going, yeah, about right. Right? So, your mom's important, but cash is really important too. Because that we're going to do some remodeling. Well, not my mother, of course, and not yours, but I'm saying generic mother.
Dude, that's all you. I'm not touching that 10-foot pole.
And he's got to work with me, y'all. Really, he hears this all the time. So because that, we're able to do a remodel on the old Sunshine building, and it's going to become a cafe. Not full-fledged, not a full coffee bar. We're not there yet. It's going to start. But see, you see a building and a big open field. I look out there and I see the next building God's calling us to build. I see a children's facility whose bottom floor is an indoor playground where the community can come and meet there. This is the step in that direction with us redoing the Sunshine building. And so we want to introduce to you and welcome out here a guy who's been helping us a lot with trying to plan this out, and that's Adam Kirsten.
Morning.
Howdy, Adam.
You've been waiting the longest. Thank you for your
Yeah.
patience.
Well, Tony's not the most excited to see me. He's excited to see the young adults, which I thought I was in, but I'm not.
Maybe you're median adult? I don't know.
guess.
You're still a young adult,
Whatever.
right?
That's
Aren't you?
fine. I'll go cry in a
No,
corner
I see
later.
great, dude. No, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam is going to be spearheading the remodel of the Sunshine building, the old preschool. And so, Adam, what's it going to look like out there?
Well,
what's
I've
something?
actually prepared a 57-point thing that we can go over. But,
You and me both, bro.
apparently we don't have time. So my biggest thing that we need to do is demo. And who likes to demo? Does anyone
Demo
like
day.
to throw hammers and stuff? Good. Did you get all those hands? Because they
Yeah,
just volunteered.
I got 'em. Hold
So
on. Raise 'em
we'll
back
call
up.
Yeah,
them-
keep putting them back up
Take a
here.
Yeah.
They got a few. Look out. They're
We
proud
got
of you.
some, yeah, Sandy.
Oh,
all
there we
right,
go.
Sandy.
Sandy
got all your
That's
frustration.
awesome.
Yeah.
The
Dang it,
other,
Tom. Oh.
yeah. Well, the other part of it is there's a couple of walls in there that we're gonna have to take out. The floor needs to be replaced. The little tiny toilets need to go to someone's house if you want one.
We have
Joey,
toilets
you
available,
can have
apparently.
one. And we have to make it a facility that is welcoming to the community. So that's kind of what we're headed for. If you guys want to volunteer, we're going to have some sign-up sheet at the info table, right? And that'll be for demo of walls, demo of floors, demo of the bathrooms, and just basically throwing stuff in a dumpster. And then eventually we'll get to replacing the floors and putting sheetrock and paint and that kind of thing. So that's the biggest thing that we need are volunteers to do the grunt work, pretty much. And we're looking for a place to come together, do Bible studies at, and it's going to have the place set out there is going to be open for moms to bring their kids and have coffee and discuss Bible stuff and just, have a fun place to meet.
I didn't even have to ask him questions.
Yeah.
He just nailed it. So that's the plan for the old preschool building. And like Joel said, Sunshine was a bridge to our community. That's the vision for this building, as a bridge to our community. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but on this campus, there are 4 or 5 NAAA Sunrise Fellowship groups that meet that might be faith-based, but they're not affiliated with us as a church. This gives us the opportunity to have even more of that here. And I mean, who wouldn't love to create a space where somebody who's addicted to drugs and alcohol can come and hear about the love of Christ on a campus, on a church campus, that 9 times out of 10, the unbeliever is going to be afraid to come walk into anyways. That's what the building is going to be turned into. And so, Adam, we just want to thank you so much for your time and your effort that you are going to get ready to put in this, because I'm going to work you like a dog, son.
No pressure.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam, my head.
Okay. You made it. You made it. You did it. You stuck with me. I know that the rear end may be getting a little tired. I understand. I get it. I've sat where you sat. I understand. Thank you for your patience. We don't normally go this long, but there was just so much we wanted to share, and there's still so much we left out. There's just so much. That's why we depend so much on our monthly e-newsletter, The Focus. That's why we depend on that. We're going to put some summary from this in there. We're going to put some stuff in there we had to cut to try to, you think this was long, you should have seen what all we had to cut. But the other thing we kick off at our vision celebration is our season of gratitude. We always get a head start on this. This year we're doing it this way. We have these little pumpkin cards out there, and it says, I am grateful for, and you just write what you're grateful for, and you put them on the pallet wall. Some of you have already done that. Fantastic. And this is what we do we started today, we go all the way through the month of November, and it's just a way to remind us that gratitude is contagious, and we want it to go viral. We want everyone to see this. And I tell you, when you are down in the dumps, it really helps to go by and see everything that people are grateful for, because you realize that you have a lot to be grateful for as well. I'm phenomenally grateful for so many things. I have the best job in the universe, and I'm not just saying that. I don't have to say that. But it's true. I do. I'm so thankful for our staff team. I joke about how they put up with me, but they really do, and they've gotten me out of trouble more times than I care to count. But they're the ones who really have to take sometimes my fuzzy ideas and give it feet and give it legs and have it run. And, I come in saying, I want to be a bridge to the community. They're the ones that have to come up and actually go, how do you do that exactly? Oh, we have a building. Hey, let's try this. They do all that, and I'm so grateful for them. Grateful for our council of elders. They are the ones that keep their hand on the rudder to make sure we're always pointing in the right direction. So grateful for these guys. Corporate boards, they get paid for what they do. Church boards don't. They're volunteers like you are. And these guys give not just the time for the meeting, they're giving a lot of heart. They're giving a lot of mental energy. They have to think about things years before it happens. Our name change, next week we'll celebrate. That's been a 6-year conversation. I mean, the board every year changes over a bit, as we cycle guys in and out, and yet they still have conversations. These 1, 5, 10-year plans and goals, things we're talking about, it takes a lot of brain power. I'm so grateful for them. They protect us, they guard us, they correct us. I'm so grateful for our council of elders. And I'm grateful for all of you. If you're leading somewhere and people aren't following, you're not leading, you're just taking a walk. And you're crazy enough to follow, and I'm so thankful for you. This is like a dream come true for me. I love you. I love what I do. You trust us, you trust me with bringing your friends and your family members. Now, today you may owe them a lunch because this is really long, and you probably told them, it's about an hour, and now we're an hour and a half. You give them an extra lunch. It just don't send me the bill or anything. I wasn't going to say it's on me, but blame me. You see what they got to put up with? And then they go back later and go, you sort of shouldn't have said it that way. You need to correct that. Okay. But it's not on me, but you can blame me. But you bring your friends, you invite your friends, you tell them about us, and that is the best advertising for a church, if you'll just pardon the expression. I don't know another way to say it. I love that we're able to host the ministerial here. Once a month, we host the ministerial because of your giving. We're able to buy the food to host these community leaders. We have one with us now. Bruce Metcalf is right here. Say hi, Bruce. So Dr. Bruce Metcalf is the head of our, He's the director at our rescue mission. We support the rescue mission. That's part of where your giving goes. And he pops around to different churches. But he always manages to pop in on us when we're having weird days. I told him before we started, I said, Bruce, how do you manage to pick these off days? Maybe we have more of these weird days than I realize. And it's not him, it's us, maybe. But, we're here to partner not only with them, but ultimately what they do. We all partner with Jesus. Well, we're involved in his enterprise to bring hope to people. To be a source of light and hope and inspiration to people, that they would not just see, wow, what a great church, but they'd go, wow, what a great God. Wow, those people really care. And you do. And our city knows that. Our community knows that. Our other sister churches in town, they know that. And they know we love them, we support them, and we champion what they do. And we love our faith-based nonprofits. We love the ones that aren't faith-based that we partner with. We love them all. And we love our community. And that's you. That's not me. That's you. I'm one guy. You outnumber me like 4-1. You are why we're able to do what we do. And we proclaim the unchanging Christ to a changing world. And that's not easy because it's a moving target. But we live by faith. We offer hope. And Lord willing, we're always known by love. Because we do want to be found obedient to God the Father by making more disciples with Jesus. Because hope lives here. And hope changes everything. I still want to give you a minute to work on your connection card, because maybe something I said rang a bell and you're like, I want to sign up for that. Maybe it's the foster the city or the help with the ministry to those with special needs.